Paul to call in. In fact, I might as well just go back to that for a second. For anyone who's in the chat, we'll bring it up. Here we go.
Hello?
Hey.
Hello?
What's going on?
Hey, man. Not bad. What about you?
I'm doing alright.
How was your week?
God, I'm like a slave to my
God.
jobs this week. I had a coworker quit, and then another one get into a car accident. So and then in my other job, we had a big holiday event. So it was like the past 3 days, we got 4 people already in the chat. So and everyone, can you hear us both clear? If anyone
No way.
anyone wants to chime in and just let us know, everything looks good on my end. So
Jamie for shit, but you can hear him.
Well, now Paul sounds all muffled.
I'll call you back.
Okay.
Hang on, this is shit.
Alright.
No, I'll call you back.
Okay. Alright, so we can wait for him to call back. I think, everyone, we are going to be talking about today what I call the 6 degrees of Jeffrey Epstein's muddy waters, which has been all over the alternative media lately with this whole trying to link Epstein and Trump and Clinton, and then this giant conflation of quote-unquote sexual assault, which in all 3 of these cases is vastly different scenarios. And I don't know, I probably shouldn't get too much into it until Paul calls back and we can see what he has to say about all of that. And then if there's any other news topics that anyone in the chat would like to hear us cover and talk about, we of course will be more than welcome to. And then other than that, trying to think what else has gone on in the news this week. We've had the G20 summit. I hear France is on fire, and that you have the nationalists and Macron, or nationalists and Antifa, fighting side by side against Macron. What else? I saw a headline this morning that apparently Russia tried to meddle in the midterm elections, which, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. They haven't even proved it that they meddled the first time, and they are already on to a new allegation, but that's our news media, so you can't really be surprised at that. One of the things I've kind of been keeping up with that I think is really interesting is the sort of, I mean, it's sort of this continuation of Gamergate stuff where the politically infused SJWs are going into the video game industry. We've had some revelations as to reasons why this is, and the incentives that these game companies have for pandering to these people, even though it's not their core audience or anything like that. And I don't know. We've also had, the thing go on with the migrant caravan, the fake news picture. There's been a whole bunch of things, so I'm sure Paul and I will find some things to talk about with all of that. I don't know where he is. He's supposed to be trying to call us back. Yeah, other than that, I think those will give us a couple topics to talk about. Start of the holiday season, which is always fun. We have seen that the SJWs have now decided that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is stream complete. What the hell? Stream resumed. That was weird. But yeah, we have seen that the SJWs Can you reboot your messenger? Sure. We have seen that the SJWs have just did. We are good. Have moved on to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, trying to say that it's about discrimination and all that stuff, which I guess in one layer it is, but I don't see that as a reason to want to attack it as a whole, as they are and always do. Oh my... This shit. This is exactly what happened last week. This fucking nonsense, and now... I'm sorry, everyone. These are the problems you encounter doing things live. Where everything's working 1 second. I exit a program, open it back up, and now all of a sudden it's acting stupid. Microphone on. Yeah, let's try this again. Alright, I've got to cancel out of the stream now, so I'll be back in a second, everyone.
Yo!
Sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
There's like an order where I have to not be streaming, then open Messenger, then call, and what happened when I restarted Messenger, it fucked up my whole Messenger program where I then had to stop the stream. And
at least you fixed it. That's the main thing.
Yeah, but now I know what the problem is, because it immediately then...
This is way much better.
It says I don't have mic permissions and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's stupid, but at least we know that for the future. I just hate where now, for the second week now, I now have like a 7-minute video stream of nothing, and then the real one, instead of just... I wish you just paused the streaming. But anyway, so we are here now. Thank you for the 2 people in the chat that stuck around for the...
Who is that guy who was commenting last week? I checked out his channel.
I don't remember offhand.
Big Dave or something, wasn't it? Big Chris or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Quite cool. We should get him on. Have like 3 people.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty good, man.
We'd figure out
Come on.
a way to do that.
Yeah, leave your email in the comments or something.
So, what do you want to cover this week?
I'll let you go first, because I'm just going to talk about the same old shit.
I mean, I guess what the thing I was prepared to talk about, mainly because you had sent me the video. Well, I'm hoping this is still going, even though it's looking stupid on YouTube's end. Is what I've decided to call what was the term I had just used for it? The 6 degrees of Jeff Epstein's muddy waters, which
it's all coming back. It's all coming back, Jeffrey Epstein.
It's not, though.
In the news.
And that's what
do you mean?
In the news, yeah, and that's what I don't understand. Is okay, so they've talked to the victims now, like some newspaper did some investigation, but all right, let me like, here are the things that bother me as far as what I'm seeing in the alternative media. You have, and this is why I call it the 6 degrees of muddy waters, where it's like you have Donald Trump, right? Well, first off, let me put this out there. The connection they're trying to make is Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Jeff Epstein. And the way I look at it, because this is, for some reason, I feel like this is what happens with people when we talk about news and people in the media and everything like that, is all of a sudden we suspend everything we know about everything and never try to contextualize these things. Like, it was like what went on basically when people were like, you know, when Trump was running and they were like, well, here's a picture of Trump next to Bill Clinton, so therefore they're BFFs and they know each other and they're on the same page of everything and this and that. And it's like, you can't get all of that info just from a picture of 2 people standing side by side.
A wedding. If you don't mind me saying, it is a wedding photo.
Yeah. But here's the thing is, like, I think of it like this, because realistically, besides the pedophilia stuff, I didn't know much about Jeff Epstein. I just knew
Oh, really?
I just knew he
Yeah,
was a
that's why. Just so you know, do you remember when Westminster got really big with the paedophile stuff?
yeah.
The reason it got shut down was because a royal was named, and
Yeah.
I can only speculate, but I think that royal was Prince Andrew, and he was part of the Jeffrey Epstein um, crew, and it looks like the charges were related to him fucking a 13-year-old.
I'm not surprised
So
about
that's
that.
why it was shut down, the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. And we looked at him during Pizzagate 'cause he's the guy of the private island with all the
The weird
Egyptian,
statues and
yeah.
yeah.
And I think it burned down.
See, but before all that, let's get into a little bit of the backstory.
And also, you might want to remember on Reddit, do you remember it had the screenshots of the CCTV? The weird CCTV had like 10 different CCTV cameras at once, and someone taking a picture of it.
Yeah.
And it looked like, I don't know if you remember that, and it looks really creepy. That's meant to be Epstein's Island.
Yeah.
Dun dun
Now,
dun.
one of the things though is like when I looked up his Wikipedia, and you have like his whole backstory. I'll bring it up right here for everyone to see, because again, all I've ever heard are things in relation to the pedophile stuff, and then I just hear he's a financier. But so you have he was from New York, worked at Beer Stearns Bank, working for high net worth clients. The firms he was representing, acquired like Abercrombie and Fitch. There were a whole bunch of clothing lines. He tried to buy some newspapers, and he was a huge, huge, huge real estate
Pedophile.
mogul. No, real estate mogul in New York, especially in the Fifth Avenue area. So, I mean, right there you have a very non-nefarious reason for him and Trump to run in the same circles. Because they're both in the same business, they're both high-value clients. They were probably competing for real estate areas and stuff. So I mean, there's legitimate reasons. Like the thing I think about is when I was in bands, we had what we called the scene, where it would be a bunch of us bands that would play a bunch of shows together. People would throw parties. We'd all end up at the same parties. We'd have some of the same fans. We knew each other. I didn't know anything too much about any of these people. I might have a beer with them and, have some small talk, and maybe we'd, talk some shit about which girls at which shows were cute and who was trying to holler at who and all that stuff. But it was never deeply personal relationships. It was just us all running in the same circles. And I feel like people sort of don't think that's what this is, as far as like, there might be a club where, Epstein and the other one are at. And that's why I'm just trying to say, you can't just have a picture of two people together and then insert a narrative based on two people standing next to each other, because you have these scenes. And that's what I think a lot of this is. You have these high-powered billionaire, millionaire people who obviously are tied into politics, because you have to get building permits and all that other stuff in order to build these properties and everything like that. So I think there are some completely legitimate reasons for these people to be in the same circles. Now, my other issue with what some of these people are doing and why I call it muddying the waters is sexual assault, unfortunately, is a very broad term. So you have Donald Trump, who we've all known, billionaire playboy, kind of creepy at these beauty contests with looking at girls, maybe might make some unwanted advances and everything like that. But we haven't had any underage girls come out and say Trump is going for them. Trump, by his past records, obviously seems to like very voluptuous, full-figured women, which you're not really going to find at 14. So he doesn't have the same MO as Epstein, who Epstein there likes underage girls. We know this. There's, records, him hiring them, everything like that. And then you have Bill Clinton, who, has this record of rape. So I mean, you do have 3 men who all have kind of nefarious motives with women and kind of creepy and chauvinistic and all of that. But to try to conflate each of these 3 men under the umbrella term of sexual assault, I have a problem with it. Where it's like, you know,
I think you're I think you're misreading it completely. I kind of agree with 90% of what you're saying. I think you're getting the gist of all of it. But I think you're muddying the waters, if you don't mind me saying. And the reason why you might be not getting it is I don't think anyone is saying that Trump is sleeping with underage girls. I think what they're saying is that Clinton and Roger Clinton were running these cocaine operations which involved luring underage girls into prostitutes, and Trump was fully aware of it. And they're not saying he was involved in it, but they're saying, well,
yeah, he was aware of it. He's let that be known.
He was aware of it. Yeah, so I don't think anyone's saying that Trump is a paedophile, but I think they're saying, hey, he was at these parties where there were probably underage girls.
Well, and you know, here's the other thing though that's very odd to me is I saw the one video you sent me where someone made a point of Epstein being asked if he's ever been at parties where Trump was there with underage girls, and Epstein pleaded the Fifth. Now, the weird thing about that is the Fifth Amendment is not there to protect anyone but yourself. So for them to be like, oh, well, Epstein pleaded the Fifth, you know, therefore that makes Trump shady. Like, I don't understand, like, how
it makes Trump shady because he's had, like, 20-odd years, 30 years to do something about it.
Well, what was he supposed to do? I mean, it's, again, the case was 10 years old. He was already being investigated.
No, but I'm just explaining what the argument is.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. First of all, there's no accusation against Trump being a pedophile. I'm with you. I don't think he's that kind of guy. But I think he is a playboy. And I think he probably, well,
and a
definitely was at these parties.
Clumsy and aggressive playboy at that.
And that's probably why Trump knows about it and why he takes some of the information that's coming from the FBI more seriously than what other people might. But the other part is this is where I get cut off. Right? We have seen giant paedophile gangs being locked up across the board, but we're not really seeing any high-level people going down. Let's face it.
Well,
Clinton, what happened to his? I agree. What happened to his lock her up?
Oh, okay. But here's my other. Well, no. Here's.
Hang on, no, it's worse than that because the other thing with Trump is he's still in bed with Saudi Arabia completely. He's still bombing the shit out of Yemen and doing deals with ISIS. That's all a whole
different note, though. That's a whole different.
He's stirring the pot up in Crimea.
Oh yeah, but let's put that stuff on pause.
I'm just saying there are genuine concerns with Trump.
Yeah, of course.
And they're probably, I think, if Trump is a brave guy, don't be surprised if he gets a criminal record taken down Epstein. He might be up for that because the charges aren't going to be anywhere near what Epstein's going to get. But you might find Trump.
Well, and here's the other thing. Here's the other thing that again I feel like there's a suspension of, you know.
I think we're being played. I think all this anti-Trump stuff is to get people like you, who would never be a pro-president, pro-government, like anyway pro-government, into politics and into supporting. It's like they just flipped it from Obama being the leftist all supporting the president to the right supporting. We're just being played. I could be wrong. Like I do, and then you see Trump walking out the UN meeting in the photo shoot, going, "Get me out of there." You think he's just a great actor. Knows what to say.
I don't know.
But he could be doing that of Google. Like he could just be looking at what's popular to say because that's what Google could do. You could get reports of what is popular to say. And just say it.
I mean, that's what they said Hillary Clinton was doing, and they made no secrets about it.
It'd be stupid not to do that.
But the thing is that, you know, one of my other things about all of this, you know, again, with Epstein, everyone's like, you know, he got a deal where, you know, he didn't spend any time in jail.
He did get a deal. Don't make it sound like he got a deal.
But here's the thing, though.
A cushy one.
Do we think he didn't give anything for that deal?
Oh yeah, sure. Now I'm with you there.
I mean, that's
again,
like,
it's a snitch.
These things happen all of the time. This is like business as usual stuff, and that's why I don't understand everyone looking at it and thinking because again, it's like, yeah, he probably gave up 1,000 low-level people and the whole
What's
flight
Trump done
logs.
about 9/11? That didn't happen.
No,
What did
that
Trump do
no,
about
that
JFK
I
files? That
heard.
didn't happen.
That I heard that 9/11 there's a grand jury that's about to start on that. I saw that this week actually.
Okay.
And that's the other thing where I feel like part of this, you have what's known as the lame duck president, where even
When are we
Obama
gonna get the Podestas? I mean, come on.
second term.
What's he waiting for?
Well, this is what the thing I was about to say is, you have this idea of the lame duck president, and I honestly think that you're going to see some of this stuff like even Alex Jones has said, Trump has to figure out who the players are. And then
Also, Trump's going to help the narrative that it's okay to flood America with migrants because America's racist now. It's a racist nation. It's built on racism, and white people are inherently racist. Capitalism's failed, so let's just let migrants raid it. And Trump is like the epicenter of racism, hatred,
I don't know
and bigotry.
who,
And he grab him by but that's what the mainstream are going to be able to push on him.
yeah,
He's
but
perfect
no
for
one
that.
pays it. The thing is the trust in the mainstream media is so low.
You know,
that
Trump's
it's almost-
perfect to build up a hatred of America, and then once you've got the hatred of America, you can flood it with migrants.
But that's the other thing, though. I don't understand, like, if you build up a place to be full of hatred and everything like that, why would migrants want to come here? Like, there seems to be a disconnect there.
To get rid of the white people
I don't know, but
who are inherently racist.
let's go back to the Epstein and all that stuff.
All right.
So because it's like a runaway train. I'm losing my thoughts. The
Well,
other,
good. I'm trying. You're trying to make your thoughts still, John Pierce.
yeah, right. Now the other thing though is, like, even as they had the show called it, this whole government realistically is built on a house of cards. I honestly believe, and this isn't just me running defense of Trump and stuff like that, because you even had George Bush, I believe Sr., the one that just passed away this week, said, if the American people knew what we were doing, they would lynch us in the streets. So
People do know what they're doing. Yeah, but that's before the internet.
yeah.
You wrote that.
So I really think in some regards,
People have seen the best thing about Bush. I mean, if you've not seen the video about the fact his mum keeps an aborted fetus in a cupboard in a jar.
we covered
I
that.
mean, yeah, I will always remind people of that when I bring up Bush.
But I think
Oh, and he attends this weird thing called Bohemian Grove, but that's just totally normal. Oh, and he stole John Rose's bones to get into Skull and Bones.
But
And he started 9/11 pretty much.
well, that's yeah.
Oh, and he invited Bin Laden into Texas and all the Bin Laden family and flew them out.
But the thing I'm saying is if you really had
And he was involved in killing Kennedy.
But if you had all of this stuff, if you had the swamp.
Oh, and his granddad financed the Nazis.
But I'm not even talking specifically about the Bushes.
I'm just like, just going through, because now he's passed away, I think it's important to go through his achievements.
But the thing is if you had Trump.
Can you not have some respect for the dead, Jamie, just for like 2 minutes?
I do.
I know you don't like Bush, but come on, just ask him for 2 minutes.
We can
whilst
have a
we
moment
go
of
through.
silence.
No, not a moment of silence while we go through some of his highlights.
I know, and that's only as a one-term president. Oh, and he founded the CIA, basically. You can't forget that.
Yeah. So, great guy. And his grandmother may have fucked Aleister Crowley. We don't know.
Yeah.
But that may have happened.
But I really think...
Just 2 minutes, Jamie!
Well, let me just finish my thought on this, and then we can get into Bush. I
I'm
really think...
done on Bush now. If you can't give a dead guy 2 minutes, bro, I think, says it all.
I think if we had the swamp drained at the rate that people...
It's not being drained, it's being pumped in.
See,
Trump surrounded himself with the fucking swamp.
But here's the thing, though. Like, even, people are pointing to the AG, the guy who's, appointed to this position that was the one that got the deal for Epstein and stuff. And it's like, if you were going to be taking down pedophile rings... Wouldn't it be most, like, advantageous to have someone who is almost involved, like, that knows who the players are? Like,
Yeah.
it's the same thing with the banking thing, where people just say Goldman Sachs caused the financial collapse. Here's someone in a cabinet that once worked at
But
Goldman
at the
Sachs.
same time, you can't rule out the
Therefore,
fact that, based on your argument, that he could be protecting them too.
yeah,
They're
no,
both
it could. It
equally
very well
valid.
could. It very well could go either way. But I think like there's this attitude put forth that in order to accomplish something in some area, we're going to have someone that has no ties to that area whatsoever involved in overseeing it. Like, and that's the almost like weird, I like disconnected idea where it's like, okay, well, if Goldman Sachs has been running the banking industry forever, we're going to bring in someone who doesn't know Goldman Sachs and what they do and everything like that whatsoever to
Well,
then.
Ivanka put out some stuff about how she's going to stop human trafficking like a couple of hours ago.
I haven't seen that yet. Um, But I don't know. I just think I think part of it is people are just hopping on the news cycle. They want something to
Can
talk
Trump
about.
stop it? Because, I mean, everywhere I look, everyone's accepting it anyway. Like, everything on Netflix is all about this. Like, definitely the Satanism side is so cool now. Like, the next stage is, it's not a big leap to paedophilia, is it?
No, I don't think so as
That's
far
the
as the
thing. I honestly
social.
do think, I think the two are mostly linked, not in like all cases, but in a lot. I think that's what annoys me. It's like a lot. I remember I was at work and my friend was going, I went to this community talk about how to protect children from predators, and it's all about protecting them online, making sure they don't talk to strangers. And I was like, dude, they don't know shit. Then obviously the chance of a child being groomed online is actually minimal when it
Yeah.
comes to this. The most likeliest thing is they're in care. It's someone of authority. Someone in government that's actually doing it. Someone of power. And if it's not that, there's probably a 40% chance it's linked to Satanism.
Or it's they did a thing with the community around here because it was
But
picking
could you
up.
imagine saying that, like going to community, going, "Oh, the thing you need to watch out for grooming gangs is really like Islam, Satanism." They'd be
Well,
like,
and also
Satanism? What? It's
al-
like, yeah,
also people posing with like job opportunities. Like, oh, you
yeah.
could be a
People who want to
model.
help
Like,
kids,
yeah.
people that want to help kids, especially charities. The number one, the UN is the biggest
Cause,
child
cause one of
trafficker
the
in the
things
world.
they were saying
People
around
don't believe me
here,
about that. Like I always said, I say like the UN are the biggest child
yeah.
traffickers in the world, and you can put that in Google, and even though they've got Google right at their fingertips, they won't do that again. Hey, you think the UN traffics children? It's like I don't think that. Like you can just like there's loads of studies. They get busted all the time. Like
Yeah.
F1 is another thing where you get these F1 kind of stuff. Probably with the same in America, you get like Super Bowl. You're gonna get a lot of it. Because
Oh
you've
yeah.
got like because it's the magician. Look at what the right hand's doing, and then the left hand's
Yeah.
doing something else. So you get world leaders meeting there, and everyone's watching the game.
Yeah, and people use that as a
So
cover for
yeah,
other stuff. Um, but the one thing the thing I was going to say as far as the draining the swamp and everything like that
it's
is
not draining the swamp.
I but here's the thing is let's not look at it as a swamp. Let's again use the house of cards analogy.
All
Do you
right.
do you want the whole house to come tumbling down? Like is draining the swamp worth us turning into Venezuela?
Um,
Like you have
yeah, I
to
did get that,
you have
but
to have a controlled demolition. You can't just do this overnight because then it's going to completely erode faith in the system and things will turn to anarchy. Like and
I don't
that
know if I agree or not because they're such filthy, dirty people that maybe you should just pull the plug on them.
I mean, I've for a while when I was far more like libertarian leaning, I think I was like more of a libertarian ideologue, and now I think I'm more like pragmatic with
If
it.
not now, when? Like, what are you waiting for?
Well,
What
I
would you
think
wait
I think
for?
you just have to do it slowly. Like you just have to
Why?
slowly pull these people out one by one because if the American people are like the whole system is infested with all these
Yeah.
people, again, you're not going to have faith
It's
in it
not. It's not
whatsoever.
just America though, because you can look at the UK and maybe.
Yeah.
And remember when Belgium, when you had millions of people marching over it?
I mean, my whole point is I just like to
It's
see it
not going to be
drained
like.
without riots in the streets. Because,
Well, I don't see why it'd lead to riots in the streets. The fact that Trump's dealing with it, people would be celebrating in the streets, wouldn't they?
I see, but I don't know, because I really think you just have such discontent and such an erosion of trust in
I think you're in a Trump cult.
because
Trumpanetics is what
because
Fox Day would call it.
because what you
You're in
have
Trump.
is you like people are going to
Jamie,
feel
wake up!
people are going to feel betrayed by all of this. Like
Trump's not going to do anything, bro.
I think it's going to cause. I think he's already done stuff, though. I mean, you even said we've had a lot of record pedophile busts and stuff like that. But the thing is, you're not going to see the high-profile ones in the news. That I'll outright say. You're not going to. They might happen, but you're not going to hear about it, because you're going to have the Epstein-style deals cut, and that's again just how business operates, unfortunately. I mean, if I had my way, I think we should have public firing squads for them.
You're being played, dude. There's no way to put Trump in. It's all TV. Trump's an actor, bro. Like every other president you've had. He's no different. He's just much better at it, and they've got so good at propaganda now because they can read everything we think. They know everything. They know what you think, Jamie. They know how to pull your strings.
But then let me ask you a question.
They pulled my strings too.
Why turn around the economy then? Like the actual,
I don't know if he is.
The actual legitimate things that Trump is doing good. Why if they have the system going in one direction?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. He's not all bad. He's not like as evil as the rest, but still, I can't see him chucking his mates under the bus. They probably put him in there. They were like, let's put Trump up against Clinton because then Trump's just gonna walk in, isn't he? It just seems like a setup. Who in their right mind would put Bush and fucking Clinton against Trump? I mean, what? No way.
I don't know, because it's like, again, like I feel like the media.
Clinton was nearly dead.
I feel like the media's response to him is so over the top.
They who have you got? Trump and a corpse.
Like again, then. Why is the media like? Because the whole thing is like, again, I understand the idea of the controlling the opposition, and that way you can
it's almost like Hillary was like a cartoon character.
Well, and I think Trump is very much like a cartoon character too.
Maybe those pedestrian emails were like dodgy as well, just to get Trump in. I don't know what to think anymore, dude. I just don't trust Trump as much as I did.
I don't know. I just can't.
I think, and I'm not saying it's anywhere near the level as bad as Obama, of course not, or any president we've had before, but he's still doing the same end game with Israel as well, and the way things are going in the Middle East. It's just not good.
I agree with that. I agree that as far as, you know, he's very neoconish in regards to his relationship with Israel and staying in line with, you know, with their goals. That I have no objections to anyone saying anything like that.
And if you do want to pull the plug on America, let's say everyone's right and they do want to just destroy Western civilization, Trump would be the perfect guy to blame it on. Go, well, it fell because of Trump was president. See what happens? See what happens?
Like, the thing I have a hard time squaring away with is the good things he has done is, you know, if you look at the overall agenda
it's
like,
not that
I
great,
don't know how that stuff factors into it. Like, with Obama, it makes
because you got to chuck in a few carrots.
But they didn't with Obama. That's almost like the thing where it's
because he was black. And he spoke like this, Jamie. He was very professional and elegant. Everyone likes Obama, okay? Come on.
Like,
you want Obama at your barbecue, right?
Like, even the things they tried
Obama at a barbecue having hot dogs?
Even the things they try to use to, like, attack Trump with, it always tends to backfire and work out in his favor. Like this caravan thing. You know, like...
You don't think if they want to take out Trump, they could just take him out?
I agree with that, but I think it would
why haven't they taken him out then?
Because, again, I think you'd have riots in the streets.
And the attacks on Trump are just so childish, they can't be real.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing.
It's just one big fucking joke.
That's the other thing I don't get, is where the media
The joke's on us, man.
The media has so much legitimate stuff that they could criticize him over, and yet they focus on tweets and all of this meaningless...
Don't get me wrong, I find Trump hilarious. I love what's going on. Like, it's funny to watch. It's great. I think Trump, people at work think I support Trump, and I don't. That's the only thing. The way I talk about Trump, people actually think I do support him because he's funny as fuck. He does some great stuff. It's great entertainment. But
Well, he's
for
like
the
a
president of
troll.
America, it's pretty fucking scary.
He's like a troll. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
thing about him is like he knows how to play the media over and over because he knows.
And
they're
it
going
is
to
the
always-
first time where we've really got to understand the president because, like I said, the internet's a big thing now. Like, the president's got Twitter.
Yeah. Well, and
It's
that's
crazy.
the other
It's
thing
insane.
where it's like people have said he's the most transparent administration ever because everyone's hyper focused on him. The other thing about it that I always keep in mind, and I would tell people this in the election when everyone was worried about him becoming president, is the president is supposed to be the least powerful branch of government.
Yeah, but not when you give him Twitter.
Well,
He gets all the press. But I get what you mean. Yeah, there's checks and balances meant to be in place.
yeah,
But...
I mean that's why the wall has been at like a standstill for forever because you need
Yeah,
Congress
where
to-
is the wall?
You need Congress to
Where's
write
the
the
wall?
check for it.
Where's the wall?
That's on Congress.
Where's the fucking wall, Jamie?
I mean, and that's one of the
Where's
things
the
I would tell
wall?
to people is I'm like, there's this perspective that the
It's not
president's a
even a fence.
dictator.
You didn't even put a fence up. let
Well,
alone a
there
wall.
is a fence there. That's why the caravan
fence.
couldn't get through.
Caravan. They should call it not a caravan, maybe like a mini metro. That's a nice car. Or Volkswagen Golf.
I mean, I don't know. I do think there's something shady afoot.
I just get worried that when I watch Alex Jones, he's just complete. He is too much in the Trump train.
Well,
It's
and
just
that's
not
why
that objective
that's
anymore.
why I honestly I've been saying for a while now that Owen Benjamin has taken the place that Alex Jones once held 15, 20 years ago, where Owen Benjamin is the one really deciphering occultism and how it ties into the wheels of power, different cultural things. Like, he's far more into the symbolism and, the things Jones used to talk about and made his reputation talking about. And now...
I think Owen's just got a higher IQ and can articulate better than Alex.
Yeah.
I think Alex has got the better information. Like, if you want hardcore information, like Alex Jones is your man. Like, I know I brag about it, but especially just sitting down drinking with him, you realise he knows, he's great. Like, he knows so much. He probably has read 1,000 history books. And Owen Benjamin's probably full, but he learns well and is way more articulate. That's the thing. So even though he knows less, he can make it more powerful with small amounts of key information.
Well, and Owen's really good at...
They would be a great team. They need to team up.
Well, they do occasionally. Owen's been on there a couple times. But there's also the whole thing with Owen being an insider as far as Hollywood and knowing how all of that operates and everything. Yeah, it's I don't know. The other thing that, is really interesting as far as having my attention is the whole Jordan Peterson stuff and the stuff that, Vox Day has been pointing to, where it's this sort of no nations, one world religion idea, the Jordan
the UN model,
idea. Yeah, that Jordan Peterson has been so tied into.
And Joe Rogan as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
Quite a bit recently, yeah. You think if they have been... Because with all this feminism and attack on white people, you've got to build up... It's natural that some kind of white guy is going to lead the gang. And I think Gavin McInnes was the real deal.
Yeah.
And you saw what happened to him. And Joe Rogan is kind of like a plant in a way.
Yeah. And I don't even... Here's the other thing.
It's not a sinister plant, don't get me wrong,
No,
guys.
no, I think it's exactly what Owen Benjamin says when he talks about Rogan, is he says the people who are in power look at Rogan like he's a baboon.
I think Joe Rogan does like the benefits of just keeping your mouth shut.
Yeah, no, he definitely does.
I don't think it's misleading, but...
I don't think he's that bright, though. That's
and I think,
thing.
I don't agree with his political ideas, but I don't think like you can't just shut him down because he says some crazy shit.
I mean,
Because he's doing a 4-hour podcast, guys. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna say some crazy shit that you probably
But-
don't really believe
but I think,
or
the thing
comes out
is
wrong.
even with like the dynamic between him and Eddie Bravo, it's almost like Rogan is like, as curious as Rogan is at times, he's almost like a useful idiot to the power structure, because you could have Eddie Bravo bringing up some maybe crazy conspiracy theories, but a lot of legitimate ones, and Rogan is overall dismissive of them.
I think Rogan may have been threatened too. You never know, like, especially after that Alex Jones podcast, because that's when it changed.
Yeah.
It was the Alex.
Yeah,
Maybe he did
I
get
would
threatened.
agree with that too. Rogan was a lot more open-minded before that Alex Jones podcast.
And Alex Jones did say, like, Rogan was getting proper threats. His family were getting threats. Joe Rogan denies that. But, I mean, if you were getting family threats, obviously you're going to deny it. But
Yeah.
Alex Jones did say that. He said, like, Joe Rogan's, like, not doing this again. And it's because he's getting threats. That's believable. So not only did a threat stop, but, you're going to get a cushy paycheck. Your family's going to be,
Yeah,
cushy.
I mean, he's still
And then
the
you get
number one
access to people
podcast
like-
guy.
Yeah, and then you start getting access to crazy people.
Yeah, like I said, as curious as Rogan is at times, and when it comes to a lot
I'm
of
not, don't get it wrong, I'm
topics-
not saying Joe Rogan's all sinister, but you just don't know what's going on.
I mean, even Alex Jones at times, and I don't know if he's just doing it for, weighing the risks and everything, but I agree with Owen Benjamin that it's sort of disheartening how dismissive Alex is over the shady aspects of things like Sandy Hook and stuff. Or even Alex
The
Jones.
thing with Alex and Owen, the key is they're both Christian, so Alex will always tell you what he believes, and
Yeah,
sometimes he's wrong, but that's why Alex Jones works, he's always honest.
yeah.
He's an honest guy.
I
So-
just think, I think he realized with the Sandy Hook thing that it was causing more damage to the brand than not, so it's just a battle he tries not to engage in. But I mean, that's the only school shooting in history that's classified as far as having sealed documents
know
attached
about
to
that.
it and everything else. And I mean, again, there's so much shadiness. The Pizzagate thing too, like that whole thing, the emails and everything, but they were able to just completely pull away the spotlight from that and focus it on the one pizza place instead of the emails. But Alan Fantis, as we both know, shady character. How are you such an influencer?
Well, yeah, he's got a
pizza shop?
museum that does some live, it's called live art, so they use live
Well,
living
and
things
that's
as
the
art,
other
and it's
thing, though,
private.
is they know that
Just
that's one
saying.
of the other things that ends up being a cover for human
Yeah,
trafficking.
yeah. Well done. Yeah, exactly. A good way to, like, we see it all before. Brave art, like they had in the Bethesda house, when it's actually kids naked. So I dread to think what living art means.
Yeah.
But I guess you guys can figure out. It's a private museum called Pegasus, I think. Put on Google Pegasus Museum. I'm sure it's called that. And isn't Pegasus related to some kind of child love, some Greek mythology crap? I know. They're creepy, man. I'm glad we can argue about Trump, and like at least that's how it should be done. Like you don't. Most people would like block each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But people think I am pro-Trump. Like I get why they think that, but I'm like 50-50 on him. I'm not really anti-Trump. I'm not
I
like
mean,
pro-Trump.
one of the things, like I was saying, is I think,
But you're forced to defend him. I know that's what, I can't remember who says that, but you're kind of forced to defend Trump all the time because the attacks are just so dumb.
well, and the other
And
thing,
and
too,
the
though-
things you should be attacking him for, it's just like totally ignored.
The other thing too, though, is like, when people are asking, well, where's this? Why isn't this done? Why isn't that done? One of the things I keep in mind is like, okay,
Where's the wall?
so we're 2 years into this, and you think he's gonna spend the next 6 twiddling his thumbs because everything will be done and over? Like, you gotta plan
I'm
this
just saying,
out.
where's the
like-
fucking wall? Like, what happened to lock her up?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Lock her up.
I'll tell you
Lock
what.
her up.
Again,
lock
if-
her
if
up.
you had-
Lock her up. Lock her up.
If you had people,
That was amazing. That was that's what won. That had a big deal with him winning.
if you had
that
people
chart.
that were hesitant about the wall, this caravan issue, I guarantee you, has won some people that were on the fence about it over to we need it.
No, because Trump just hates Mexicans. That's what I heard when I mentioned it at work. Let's go, well, Trump just hates Mexicans. I was going, oh, yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah, but the whole thing is
Why did I think of that?
that the whole thing, though, is that group wasn't even Mexicans. They were all
Yeah,
from
right.
the Honduras, I believe, and Mexico offered them asylum and held a job fair for them there. So, I mean, they were welcomed in
Shut up,
Tijuana and
racist.
Mexico with open arms, but they didn't want to because, you know, one of the other things that was found out is the whole organization was organized by some leftist church in Chicago. So you have Obama's hometown being the center of some of these operations being run from.
You're a shill. You work for the Illuminati, Jamie.
I might.
They got you. You're into that
So here
weird
you see,
stuff.
Pegasus Museum is located
You
in
know way too much about Aleister Crowley for my liking, son.
it. Pegasus
And you look a
Museum.
bit Jewish.
I might be. We don't know who my
You
father is.
might
Remember
be.
that.
Oh, yeah, that's convenient, isn't it, Jamie? It's
Yeah.
probably George fucking Soros, bro.
Bastard child of Soros.
Has anyone in the chat actually Googled who Jamie Starr really is? Because I doubt his real name's Jamie Starr, guys. I'm just saying. You should check this dude out.
You know
Because
what's
he is
funny though
Illuminati.
is if you Google
Look, it's just laughing about it as if it's some kind
if
of
you
joke.
Google that name, all that's going to come up is
Disgusting.
pictures of Prince. That's the funnier
Well, there
thing.
you go.
Yeah.
Case closed. Exhibit A, guys. Exhibit A.
Yep. I actually am Prince. I didn't die. The elevator didn't go down.
Again, more occultic talk. Draw
Pegasus,
your own conclusions, guys.
Pegasus Museum is located in the Columbia
And now
Heights
is
neighborhood.
now what is he talking about? Oh, let me guess.
My favorite
Carry on,
museum.
Jamie. Yeah.
Washington Heights, D.C. According to public
Okay,
record, it's
yeah.
owned by Castellum Achilles LLC, which is registered to James Alefantis.
Oh,
in
that
June
guy.
of
That sounds just
2014.
normal.
The museum building
Can you
was
say that
purchased
again? Say that.
approximately
It's
one-
what? Yeah, you can't just gloss over these things, Jamie. Just read that first two sentences again.
Pegasus Museum is located in the Columbia Heights neighborhood in the Washington, D.C. According to which, again, Washington, D.C. always remember is not a state.
Shut
it's its
up,
own,
racist. Carry on reading it.
It's under its own laws. It's a city-state.
Yeah, that's a conspiracy.
According to public record, it's owned by Castellum Achilles LLC.
Yeah, that. Castella. Google Castella. What the fuck? No one's called Castella, Jamie. That's weird.
Or Castellum Achilles, which is like...
Yeah, Achilles. It sounds like more Greek mythology to me.
Yeah.
Can you Google that, please? Because we can't gloss over shit we don't know. That's lazy. That sounds weird. And then you got James Alefantis, which happens to be French for I love children. And you're going to gloss over this weird other name? Are you insane, Jamie? And that's again, Jamie just covering up for these paedophiles. He just glosses over important information like that. Saying that Epstein's like a nice guy. Like, don't worry about Epstein, he's a nice guy.
That's not what I said. I said he was a real estate person.
And then Bush did nothing wrong. You heard that come up.
Oh man.
Fucking hell, Jamie.
You know, I think a lot of this stuff, as far
And
as
all you got to do is just wave a racist in front of Jamie, and he just buys anything else they say.
as far as Castellum Achilles, all I'm really finding is a lot of building permits. Castellum Achilles is a district
What,
of
underground
Columbia.
tunnels by any chance?
District of Columbia Limited Liability Company filed on June 16th, 2014. The company's filing status is listed as active.
Again, Jamie covering for paedophiles. I can't find anything on Google about this.
The registered agent on file
You
for
just
this
and you
company
call out Joe Rogan, bro.
is Robert Harris. I wonder who that is.
Fucking Google it! No, don't Google it.
Let's see. Robert.
Dude, I think we get it. Pegasus art. It's creepy as fuck. They're up to something.
I'm trying to see who this Robert Harris person is. Anyway, let's see. It was registered to James Alefantis. The museum building was purchased approximately 1 month later. So it's almost like they set up this LLC to buy the museum. 3 days after the purchase, Alefantis added a listing on Google Maps for Pegasus Museum. At a later date, he had gave it a 5-star rating, the single review on the listing. There are a few
It could
things
be
that
money
just don't
laundering.
sit right about Pegasus Museum. Alefantis has never once mentioned it on social media, despite him having owned it for 2 years and having been very active on Instagram. Researchers discovered the listing on Google Maps during their initial investigation into him, and he immediately deleted his review and the entire Google Maps listing itself. A Pizzagate researcher named Ryan O'Neill released a video delving into Pegasus and was subsequently harassed and threatened by
I remember that, yeah. That
to
did
such
happen,
an extent
yeah.
that he deleted the video, shut down his website, and backed away from the investigation entirely.
Yeah, I remember that.
He claims that Alefantis threatened the life of his mother, girlfriend, and son. Alefantis
Yeah.
reportedly told Ryan that he could keep up every one of his other videos, but needed to immediately remove the one regarding Pegasus.
Yeah, I did see, just to clarify, I did see those videos where he showed Alefantis threatening him and stuff, so I don't know if you saw that, but I did.
No,
Not saying it's real, I'm just saying I saw it. I did see that.
Researchers have been scouring public records and submitting their findings to the internet like Vote and Reddit. Many have speculated that some sort of kill room or holding center for trafficked children exists there, and there are others that think it is a shell business to hide illegal transactions. Then again, those things are not mutually exclusive. Perhaps he doesn't mention it because he is embarrassed about a failed business venture. Most of the evidence surrounding Pizzagate has been written off by the very public or coincidental or jokes made in extremely poor taste. Alefantis doesn't seem to hesitate to boast about his family-friendly restaurant with paintings like this on the wall.
I've had enough of Pizzagate. I don't want to do it on a Sunday.
Yeah, and speaking of which, though, just as a last thing, when
What's in the fucking chat, man? Check out the chat, bro.
there wasn't anyone. There was just someone a while ago mentioning Trump's name being on a flight log of Epstein's.
Yeah.
Which again, I'm sure there's been plenty of people on those flight logs. It again, you know, you could go to parties and it still doesn't mean he was banging underage girls because he was on an airplane. That's, you know.
No, but it's the same flight log where I think Epstein was busted for fucking underage girls. So it went on during that trip.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it like this, though. It's like, you know, I've been at parties where everyone I know is taking acid, but I'm not. Like, you know, so it's, again, you can have...
This is what I mean. I mean, what sort of parties? Yeah, but you just don't post me any trips yet, dude.
Huh?
When are you going to post me some?
Some what?
A few LSD trips would be nice.
Oh, I don't even know where to get that nowadays. Actually, I might, but I probably shouldn't be saying that on the live stream.
It's alright. No one
but,
cares. There's only like 10 people listening to it anyway. They're probably off their heads on LSD.
Probably. One of the things I was going to say, though, is after we had talked last week, I think I had saw on Lift the Veil. Have you seen that now there's this new character called Vegan Mikey who is stepping?
Oh, he's been around for ages.
Has he?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, now he's pointing fingers at Macaulay Culkin.
There is something going on with him. I think I've got a theory about that.
And it's like a donut gate, you know?
No, I think it's all true. But the thing with Macaulay Culkin, what if he was into this shit as a kid and it's normal to him, right? Like Cliff Richard or something. Because some of the abusers were abused. That's why I feel sorry for the younger Bush.
Yeah.
Because he was blatantly fucked as a kid. I let anything Bush done, I let go because he doesn't know what he's doing. You can tell. But anyway, I think Macaulay Culkin might have been the same. They fucked him as a young kid. It might be normal.
Well, even
And
I'll
he had
tell
this...
you.
Hang on, let me finish my story. Right. Well, I know I'm ranting. So I'm stoned, guys. I'm sorry. But anyway, Macaulay. So what you do with him, he's like Marilyn Monroe, basically, like a CIA agent, you know, a honey trap. And I think he was a honey trap for Michael Jackson. I think they sent him to him to set Michael Jackson up. Because Macaulay Culkin would have been up for it.
I could see that. Same thing with DiCaprio. I mean,
And it backfired. What do you think about my theory, guys? Macaulay Culkin was a plan to get Michael Jackson into bed. And then that would have been the scandal of scandals, and it would have destroyed Michael Jackson. Because Michael Jackson was trying to stop the Illuminati. I think he knew about that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where I think the closeness between him and Corey Feldman came in. Because, again, I don't think he would have been good friends with Feldman if he was a pedophile. And
He was sleeping with kids and being inappropriate with them, but not necessarily
fucking
sexual.
them.
He was being a dick with them. Yeah,
Yeah.
he probably did need a light charge, to go, hey, Michael, you need way better judgment.
But again,
But I also think Michael Jackson was castrated. I don't think he could have sex. There's a really good chance that guy didn't have a penis. And I think that could have been why the first charges were dropped when they
or
took
not
photos of his
even that,
penis and
though.
they described it. And they were like, did you not notice he didn't have a dick?
I don't
Let
even
him
know
marks on
if
it.
it was that, but I would bet, the chemicals his dad was basically trying to make him trans as a little kid to keep his voice from changing.
Yeah.
So even if he had the equipment, I don't know if it would have worked properly.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Um,
I'm being like over the top.
Yeah, but no, I agree with that. But one of the other things I had seen from one of the Owen Benjamin things, he went in on Leonardo DiCaprio, and I mean DiCaprio, it was like his manager, his publicist, his agent, like everyone that was working for him and with him when he was a child was convicted of pedophile charges. And so it's like, you do have some of these people that it's like...
It's amazing how someone like Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't have any kiss and tells on him, really. He's not married, he doesn't have kids. I think it's very weird.
Yeah. I agree with that too. But I think he's just probably been,
He might be the same as Macaulay Culkin. They got him
Yeah.
young and abused him, and it's
That's
just
what I was
messed
gonna
up.
say.
He does look messed up. Like, if I met him, I would try and pull him away. I'd go, dude, come with me for a while, we're going camping. Ditch that fucking credit card. Just throw it away. Ditch your fucking phone. You need to go camping, bro.
Yeah.
Some real world. And then I'm going to take you to a football game, and you're going to queue up to go for a piss, and you're going to queue up to get a fucking beer. And you're not going to be wearing any of that weird shit. You're going to wear a football shirt. I tried to do that to Prince because I knew some of Prince's band, and they went ape shit when I suggested that. Because I said Prince is in trouble, like before he died, like 3 years before he died. I was like, Prince is in trouble. I saw him at Wimbledon. That guy's messed up. And they were
Well,
like, how dare you?
I'll tell you what.
How dare you? And I was like, I thought you were his friend.
It aggravates
You need to
me.
fucking. He's going to be dead in 3 years. I won't share the message, and I won't say who it was with in his band, but a really close friend of his. And then the other guy, who I can't mention, he was in the band for the longest. And that's quite a big feat for Prince. Like, he got 3 musicians like nobody's business.
Yeah.
But they weren't even talking anymore. You know, it's like, oh, it's got nothing to do with me, nothing to do with me. And as soon as he died, he's like in Prince tribute band. It's like, what?
Well, and it
You
aggravates
said you'd never talk to him again.
It aggravates me so much when, especially with the holiday seasons, every time I turn on like TV and there's a commercial break, I see a commercial with a Prince song playing in the background, and I'm like, Prince would have never, ever,
Yeah,
ever
definitely.
allowed this. Ever.
Don't get me wrong. When people talk like this, they think like that was the problem. Like, Prince is my idol, my role model. It's amazing that I got into his circle. I think I may have spoken to him on Facebook, which I might talk about in another podcast when I spoke to Prince, when we had an argument on Facebook. And he offered to back down. And that was over like copyright stuff. But anyway, yeah, it's weird because the other thing is his band members are all skint as fuck. I thought they were joking, but they're skint musicians. And you think, how did that happen? They don't get paid much for what they do.
Well, because I think they know that he'll just replace them. Hired guns.
Yeah, but even the ones that were there like long term aren't doing particularly well.
Yeah,
None of them are doing particularly well.
the only two
They
that,
should be. They're some of the best. They should be millionaires.
well, the only two that ended
Still.
up doing well were the two, I think they were in the Revolution, Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam, but that's because
Gee, I don't even remember those two.
they
No,
went
I don't
on
even remember.
they went on into production and they produced for Janet Jackson and a bunch of other
Wendy and
people.
Lisa had a bit of a career going on, but that kind of they just turned weird. Yeah, because we fell out during the Obama thing because they really got behind Obama. I was like, guys, watch out.
Yeah.
And they're like, racist. We knew it. We knew it, Paul. We knew you were a racist. I was like, come on. Come on.
Yeah.
We're friends and you're black. Come on.
Well, that's the sad thing, like, is that Obama just put a spell over everyone, and like,
Yeah, I was a dick too, though. Like, I wasn't like, I got worked up about it. But it's amazing, like, what I want people to take about it. That was Prince, dude. Like, if you really are passionate about something, like I was, like, Prince, the first guitar I ever saw, I was like 5. I saw Prince screech into Sign of the Times when he opened the Sign of the Times movie. It just grabbed me.
mhm.
I love that guy. Like, Prince is, and you also got to remember, people aren't perfect.
Yeah,
Whilst Prince is, the other thing is, when I saw him at private shows, and it's a private show, and you're on his stage, and he's just jamming, it was like, I understand what Jesus was. Like, I felt spiritual for a long time. Like, I'd witnessed, he wasn't human. There was something about him that really is special.
well,
He really is connected. He really is connected to something, and I felt it.
there's a
Like,
lot.
I really did.
You have a
I
lot.
would cry. Like, I had emotional, spiritual breakdown afterwards.
Well, you've always had a lot of instances of musicians claiming that it's not them doing
Yeah.
the performance.
The way he controlled the band, the way every single note, the way he sang, it's just out of this world. It's incredible. And the amount of songs this man's actually written is through the roof.
Yeah,
And when it's just there in front of you, and I think he figured out I played guitar because you can do sign language. He just played a guitar solo right in front of me. It's just like, wow. And you really realize, that's the other thing, people don't realize how fucking good he was at guitar.
oh yeah,
How amazing he is. He's my favorite guitarist. I don't understand how he's not the #1 guitarist because he's so dynamic.
well, not even at that.
He will do like 20-minute guitar solos and it's immense.
I remember watching
20
him
minute.
doing a recording of, I think it was a bass session for the songs for the Batman movie, and I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
he
yeah.
was a better bass player than a lot of
Yeah.
professional bass players.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the albums he plays everything on it.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing, where he was just all around extremely musically talented. I
And then to see him in London at Wimbledon, just because when I saw him in 2007, he was this giant ball of energy. And when I saw him in London, I was like, this dude looks dead. Looks like he smells. And I was writing to his friend who I can't name saying, Prince looks like shit. Like, you have to find out what's going on. Because it's obvious, isn't it? It's on opium.
yeah.
He is on heroin. You need to find out what's going on. And they're like, no, 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 no. I was like, he'll be dead in 3 years if you don't go around his house. And then the other guy was like, I don't speak to him anymore. I'm not going around. I was like, dude, just go around there. Look at the state of that dude, man. Like, he's lost a lot of weight.
And he never
He's
had
got this
much to
weird
do.
fucking haircut.
I remember,
And his...
I'll tell you, one of the things with him, which is part of why the mainstream started kind of rejecting
He
him.
looked
Remember,
depressed too.
well, part of it was, remember,
He
he
looked
started
fucking
going on
depressed.
about
He was talking
chemtrails
depressed.
and stuff. Like,
Prince was talking depressed all the time to people, and that was weird. Prince was really like super positive, and the last couple of years he was like, he didn't seem very positive.
I wonder if part
And
of it was like the Obama come down effect. Like, as if he really, because again, he was worried about the chemtrails and all that stuff going
his
on.
girlfriend was saying that he was talking about dying for the last couple of weeks. Like at the end of the show, he was going, "That's it. I don't want to do this anymore." He was saying that he was bored of living. And after that show, that final piano show, he said, "That's it for me." I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said, I'm glad I don't have to do this ever again.
Wow.
It's just boring now. And then you had that image where he predicted his death, the 3 images, the 3 portraits.
Mhm.
It was black, him in the middle, then white. And it said, just when you thought you were safe.
I remember there was a video where Prince was performing live and he was yelling out something because, occasionally he would do that, these kind of James Brown-esque just shouts and stuff. But I think it was like before 9/11 or something. Like there's a video
Yeah,
where
I
they
know
were
that. I've sussed that. What it was,
the
what I think it was, yeah, there's a rational explanation. It was in Time magazine. If you pick up Time magazine the same month that Prince did that concert, they were talking about Bin Laden blowing stuff up in New York. So he could have just read Time magazine that month. He
yeah
could have just been talking about that,
the
which sounds quite, yeah,
Osama
explained
flew the
that way.
plane or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, newspapers were talking about that then, so he could have just been quoting that. I love the guy though, man. And dude, I got to meet him. I don't think he said anything to me though. Like I spoke to him, but I think he was so tired because that was the last night of 21 nights in London, and 21 nights is huge.
Oh
He did
yeah.
so he did a 4 hour arena show, and then he did a 5 hour private show starting at like 1 in the morning. So I
Wow.
saw him at like 6 in the morning.
He was definitely
I
on
got to say
drugs.
goodbye to him. Huh?
I said he was definitely on drugs for that.
I think he looked disappointed that there were no girls around his car. It's just some like troll goblin dude. He was just obsessed with him. I was going, Prince, that was amazing. Wow. I don't think London will ever see anything like that. That was amazing.
I remember
That was
hearing about that,
incredible.
him doing the 21 dates over there.
Oh, it's amazing. And no one could figure out there's a nightclub in the O2, a tiny little nightclub, and it's an amazing music venue. So obviously you want to be going there after the show. And it's give or take, like either Prince will show up or he won't.
Hmm.
But it's well worth a gamble because by the time he gets on stage at 1 in the morning, most people are gone or they're just lying asleep on there. And then you can just be there, like you're one on one with the guy. You really are, because everyone's pretty chilled by 1 in the morning, so
Yeah.
they're pretty tired. And I don't drink, like I'll just have that one beer. Because at the first time I went, I got wrecked. And then I realised that I didn't remember the concert and I was being a dick. So I just kept going because I wanted to remember it sober. And I just got addicted and just kept going. And then the security get to know you and they joke about with you. And then you realise they're not venue security, they're Prince's personal security. And once you get in with them, you can get quite close to the action.
One,
Like
one,
once they know you're cool
yeah.
and what your intentions are, and that you're just
Well, one of the things I think, as far as like these celebrities and the depression
and
and stuff
They
like
even
that,
said Prince recognizes you, thinks you're funny. You don't know why, but he because you're one on one in a small club.
yeah.
And again, he sees you like mucking around with all the black women, like searching I was searching women's afros for my keys and stuff. It's a good icebreaker.
Yeah.
Again, why are you touching my hair? It's going, I'm looking for my keys.
One of the things,
You got my wallet in there.
again, I remember Owen Benjamin. I don't remember if he was talking by himself or with someone else, but they were talking about, the life of a comedian. And it's very similar to, or he was talking to Dave Rubin about it, actually, when he did the Rubin Report. And it's very similar to the life of a musician, where it's like, you go on stage for 2 hours out of a 24-hour period, and that 2 hours, everyone's staring at you, you're getting the applause, you can feel the love that's just being directed towards you. But then the rest of that time, you're alone. You're generally alone in a hotel room. There's not much going on.
You can't trust anyone
You can't
either.
trust, especially if you're very high level like that. And I mean, I know even like that would always be my problem with performing in bands, where it's like you show up for a load-in time at 6 p.m. and then you're there just sitting around drinking until you go on at 10.
Now you figured out how to meet bands. If you
Yeah,
want to meet your idol at a gig, you think, but what would their schedule be and what would you do?
yeah.
And the chances are they're doing what you would be doing. Like go to if there's a coffee shop nearby that's pretty quiet, it's worth
Oh,
checking out.
I used to work when I was doing my tattooing apprenticeship. The shop we had was right across from the main venue in the city. So, I mean,
Yeah.
all the time, if there was a band playing, they would just walk across the street and into the tattoo shop. Whether,
Yeah, you got to think sound check's going to be about 3 o'clock. So if you get there for 1, they're going to turn up 1:30. It's going to be pretty laid back. 3 o'clock sound check. They're probably going to want to be near the venue but not in the venue.
yeah,
And then normally the best place to meet them is how do you avoid fans? The main thing is to actually avoid them. So when the doors open, that's usually when they're on the door. Because
Yeah.
once the first band's on, an hour before the show, you're best off just hanging around the front door.
Yeah.
Because all the crowd's in by then.
Yeah, I mean, and especially, they just go to like
They usually hang around the merchandise. Like it's the most obvious thing.
yeah.
Like, where would you hang out?
Oh, I mean, all the time I would meet bands and I wouldn't realize it was them working their own merch table and
Yeah,
stuff.
and the other thing, just be cool when you see them because they do blend in very well. That's how they do. Like, don't just go, oh, slat, or like, whatever. Just like walk up and just go, oh, is it cool to hang out? Because
Yeah.
they want to keep a low profile, so don't go up taking a photo is the worst thing you can do or autograph because it just blows the cover.
Yeah.
Try and be like yeah. It's definitely a trick. And it's definitely worth it. Like, be honest, you kind of get bored of it because you realize that they're just normal people.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things. That's why I would always kind of have
Prince,
luck.
definitely not. I'm not putting Prince, but most people you meet are just pretty normal. Prince, definitely not normal. He was something else. And he's tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny, 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 tiny. But isn't it amazing I got to meet the little guy? Isn't
Yeah.
that amazing? Like, think how private he actually is.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
Like, if you talk to most Prince fans, that's like the biggest dream.
Well,
It's just a shame he didn't say anything back.
well, I mean, and that's the thing where even Dave Chappelle did the skit about playing basketball with him and Charlie Murphy and all of that, and even then he would put out the idea that Prince was very enigmatic, less is more as far as his speaking and stuff like that, where it's like he wouldn't say much, he'd be very like reserved, but
I asked him why he was wearing shades at 6 in the morning.
did he?
I
And
thought
he
that'd be
didn't
an
respond.
icebreaker. Nope. I said, Prince, why have you got glasses on at 6 in the morning? And he didn't respond. And then I said, do you know what time the bar closes? And I think he kind of shook his head. It's like, 1 o'clock, bro. Like, you got on stage at 1 for 5 hours. I hope you tipped the bar staff. Now, I think he maybe he did say something then. Maybe, I think, because I've got in the head that he tipped everyone $1,000
Yeah.
at the bar. So I don't know, maybe I got that from him. I don't, because it's a blurred memory, like it was a long night.
Yeah.
But I definitely got to hang with the guy. Because his security told me I couldn't smoke near him. Like they come out before he comes out all the time, going, "Don't smoke near him. Don't take a photo."
Yeah,
So,
and it's
right,
people like him and Michael Jackson. I really feel
right.
like, it's like
Calm down, mate. All right.
if
But I
you
get he doesn't want people smoking near him.
I really feel like as far as, culturally, if you had Obama come out and, talk about the Illuminati and things like that, I don't think it would have the same impact on people as if someone like Michael Jackson or Prince.
Prince didn't believe in that shit, I don't think. I got the impression he didn't believe in that.
But I know
But that was, it could have changed because I lost contact 2012, like all contact was broken. So a lot changes in 5 years.
well, and that's the thing, 2012 was the wasn't that Obama's second term around? Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of when we were like not. Before then, we were like, because you know what, Facebook was new then. So
Yeah.
if you were in their circle, that's what happened. I got into Mike Phillips's circle, and because I was the only white guy, I think I was just like a token kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, and see, and the thing is I've always said, it's well, I guess with the exception of people crying over Obama getting elected, but it's like musicians are able to pull on people's emotions and heartstrings, and that's why it's like, if Barack Obama came out and was like, folks, the UN trying to depopulate the world, people would be like, oh, okay, yeah, political.
It's globalism or nationalism, okay?
But if you had like Michael Jackson or Prince or even Whitney Houston at some points come out and say something like that, it would hold a lot more weight with people because the amount of emotion that these people through their music have been able to evoke in people. So I feel like
Yeah,
that's why celebrities,
well, Prince always went on the platform that he would never be political. who just wasn't interested in it.
But he
And
did
then when
do
Obama, he did. I got the like they always denied it, so no, we're not pro-Obama. And I was like,
but
come on,
they did
come
he
on.
did do that one interview talking about chemtrails though. So I mean,
Yeah, so what?
he was like clued into that there was something
Oh, sure, yeah.
dark going on. And
He
I
was very occultic too.
yeah, and that's the thing is I feel like, if what you're saying is true, if they really did think Obama was going to change things and fix things.
Oh, I think their heart was in the right place. I don't think that it was a sinister thing like they were.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
they genuinely thought Obama
Well,
was
and
a
see, and
great
that's
guy.
the thing I'm saying is I think they did have a genuine but naive view on everything, and I think he had valid concerns that there were dark forces at play. So if you really thought things were going to get fixed, and then over that 4 years where you're talking about him being depressed and things like that, it sounds like he might have had his heart broke as far as what his expectations were, and then what the reality of the
Yeah, but
situation
then
ended up
again, the
being.
other thing is these could just be stories to hide the fact that someone did knock him 6 feet under.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Um, like I think
Because
there's
I'm
a
pretty
lot of
sure he
times.
was knocked.
Yeah, Kurt Cobain too. Everyone plays up the heroin bit and things like that, but you've had medical experts say with the amount of
Yeah, and he's a heroin expert. Like he knows what he's
yeah,
fucking
and people
doing.
have said with the amount of heroin he was on, regardless of tolerance, you wouldn't be able to operate a shotgun like that.
Oh,
Nor
you would on his tolerance. I don't know. I reckon
I
you
don't
would.
know.
You've done opiates. I don't know.
Yeah,
You probably know better. But I think tolerance is a big thing when you're talking Kurt Cobain level opium addiction.
but see, the thing is right around the time before he had killed himself, he was clean. He wasn't using. So I mean, the amount of
No, he was using because Duff McKagan took that flight with him. Remember?
I don't know. I've
Yeah.
heard different things about those last couple days, and I think what
Yeah,
it
Duff
was
McKagan was the last person to see him alive
I
when they were
think
shooting up heroin.
I think what happened was I think they have what's known as giving someone a hot shot, where it's like you give them enough to overdose them.
No, you just swap. Yeah, or you just swap the bottles round,
Yeah,
medication round.
and I
Yeah,
think I
sure.
think that's what happened
And
in
then you
that
send
case.
another doctor with contraband to fly to get caught and then find the body, which is just weird. To me, that's fucking like I told his band straight away, like you need to record everything. You might not think it's weird now, but in a couple of years, you might think it's weird.
Yeah, and I
Write
mean
down everything you
Kurt would
see.
make a bunch of suicide references, so I think
I
people.
think they were satire. I used to
Yeah,
think he was suicidal, but I think he was joking.
yeah,
I
I
think
do
it's
too.
satire.
Because I mean,
I
if you
think
look
like
at the other
everyone.
writings, he loved his daughter. He was so happy with his family. Like he wasn't big on Courtney at the time, but I couldn't see someone with a child that young.
Yeah, but we're learning how dodgy.
Wait, yeah,
Hold on, I can't hear you. It's just a rumbling.
I'm trying to find a bottle of water. Yeah, recording that's dodgy as fuck. You got the Epstein book. It's in that Madam's Black book. Yeah, yeah.
When she was sucked off
Oh,
by
there you
someone when
go.
she was 14.
Well, yeah,
Oh yeah,
that's
Courtney Love, and it's just Courtney
even
Love's
her
just fucking
her
weird.
whole childhood was like really
Yeah.
dodgy and stuff. Um, like we were talking about last week with the thing about Nugent or whatever and her when she was a little kid and
That
stuff.
was it, yeah.
Um, but yeah, and that's the thing is, I think what they did is I think they knew there was all that kind of suicide stuff they could point to after the fact, and where it might have been satirical or something like that, then just say, because people knew he was did heroin, and then they were like, all right, well, give him a hot shot and then just blow his head off, and people will buy it because we'll make the narrative fit what we have here to work with.
Yeah, the Bears had a go at me during the Owen Benjamin podcast because he was doing like the Rolling Stone, like guess the number one song. So I went, has to be Smells Like Teen Spirit, has to be. And all the Bears that are certified were going, that song's shit, fuck Teen Spirit, fuck Teen Spirit. It's like, guys, settle down. I'm not saying it's the most amazing song, I'm saying that's what Rolling Stone will say.
Yeah,
Because it is the number one song, because you're forgetting when Kurt Cobain was found dead, that song was no song, I don't think Michael Jackson can compete when Kurt Cobain was found dead. That was so. Like, how can you guys forget how many times that song was played? It has to
Yeah.
be number one. Has to be Bohemian Rhapsody. Has to.
And
Like, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it is the most played song ever.
yeah, and you know what the sad part is that's honestly one of the worst Nirvana songs in my opinion. And you know what
Yeah.
the thing is like I understand Owen Benjamin when he talks about music, his points where he's like, you know, you can,
He's really good at music. He understands a lot.
yeah,
He's really good piano player. I didn't realize how good he actually was. He's pretty
oh
musically
yeah,
adept.
but you know, it's like I think it's almost like I understand where he's coming from when he's talking about, you know, you can't say we're evolving and progressing when you compare Bach to, you know, pop music of nowadays,
Yeah, I'm 100% with that.
like
Yeah.
Kesha and everything, and it's like, yeah, it probably doesn't have the same, you know, mainstream things, but there is still classical music composers. Like it's almost like comparing apples to oranges to make this point,
No,
like
definitely not.
because, well, here's the
Because
thing
no, no,
though,
no,
is
no, no,
like, do
no,
you
no, no,
think
no,
the
no, no,
peasant
no.
class of Beethoven's time had access to Beethoven?
Well, not for the reasons you're thinking. That's more like because of technology. If they had the choice, then yeah, I reckon they would probably have done. But yeah, music's definitely. It's not even music. Like no music. I mean, there hasn't been like kids that were born in the millennium, even 90s, probably can't relate to music because there hasn't been a good album, not even a good album in
Yeah,
20 years. And it's very. A lot of it's like Billy Corgan says. A lot of them turn to Xbox. A lot of them turn to Netflix. A lot of people just turn their backs on music, especially young
yeah,
people. And a lot of music isn't music anymore. It's deliberately degenerate. Like all art is degenerate. It is Satanist. And as they said, everything, like the banks, like I said, everything's upside down. I'm totally with Owen on that. And it started in the 60s, 70s.
and I agree with that. You know, there's the whole thing about the CIA
And it's
funding
got worse
ugly
and worse,
art
yeah.
and stuff like that. And I even, you know, one of the things like I recently,
Even the good artists are like fucked up and shit. Like John Mayer, you could say is like a reasonable musician, but then he gets mixed up in this Katy Perry stuff and he's just a jerk.
yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, I would say though,
There
like
probably are cool bands out there,
the
but
Smashing Pumpkins is one of them. Like, I mean, you know, there's a lot of
well, that
stuff.
dude saw a reptilian. He swears he saw a reptilian.
I mean, Corgan, like, you know, there's a lot of stuff like in Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. There's a lot of stuff in there where he does like orchestra compositional parts and like he's looking at things from a very musical aspect rather than just a band. And then when he wants to do stripped down stuff, he generally will do it in a
Well, he
solo
did all of
project.
Siamese Dream, I think, because the other lot were too fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those bands where it's like, you know, Corgan is the mastermind behind it.
That's what you want. Like the best band I was in, it was just one guy was dictator. He would write these songs on his acoustic guitar, and they were fucking simple, and I hated them and hated them. But he was such a, he just kept bashing them out, and I started to like them after a while. And he would just conduct the whole band, and you need that because, yeah, it's so important because the front man should have such a giant ego. Like he is a dick. Like, don't get me wrong, I think the guy's a dick. He thinks I'm a dick, but everything that I think makes him a dick makes him such a great guy to be the front man and the leader. Does that make sense? You
Yeah.
need that
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of like when the reason it's frustrating is because he's right. Like he would, like we would never write an album together because I was a replacement guitarist and I got to work on the second album, and he would just send demos which were just on his acoustic and him singing, and then I would have to send demos back of me playing over the top. And he would just go, no, it's shit, fuck that, no, no, no. And then after like 10 takes or 10 demos, he'll start going, well, this bit's okay, this bit's really good, fuck this bit, fuck that bit. And it's really frustrating as guitarist because you're literally doing 40 demos until you get anything where you're getting good feedback. But looking back, that's really what you need.
Yeah. You can't have too many egos. That's why bands don't
No, you
work
need
out.
just the one who molds everybody else to what his vision is. A
Yeah.
really strong vision. Because otherwise, I think bands can get lost.
Yeah. I mean, that's what goes on in a lot of Brett's bands, unfortunately, where he's certainly capable of doing that role, but then he'll end up in a band with a guitarist who's also a music producer who thinks that it's their job to produce rather than just play guitar.
Why can't you? Yeah, but I'm like that. Like, why not? Why can't I record the album if I play guitar?
Well, it depends, you know, what's it like, you know, because sometimes, you know, with their genre of music,
What are you on about?
you have it
What are
where,
you on
like,
about? Why can't I record it, guys?
it's not even a matter of that. It's a matter of, you know, wanting to do things that would then be unpractical to translate to the live performance. Like, if you're a four-piece band and you want someone who wants to overdub in 3 tracks of guitars, well, how does that
Yeah.
translate to the stage? You know,
Yeah, it
like,
does translate to stage. You need to relearn the songs, basically.
or you
And you
know,
need to pick out. No, you should. No, I'm not with Brett on this. Sorry, get Brett on the phone. Brett's making a big mistake. I've been there, man. No, you do want that. You want to make the band sound bigger than what it is on tape. But when you do live, that's the thing. You have to relearn the songs. And what you do as a guitarist, that's the trick. You've got. I mean, if you're a good guitarist, you can play up to 3 parts at once. But 2 is definitely reasonable, and you need to pick and choose which bits are the standout bits and the bits you have to have in there. And it's about compromising it
yeah.
live. And if you've got 2 guitarists, it sounds fucking cool. And that's cool because then it makes you want to see the live band because you know you've only got the 2 guitar dynamic and they're going to have to be strung together. So Brett's problem might really be that the guitarist has got, or maybe Brett needs to, and I'll help him with it. Maybe his guitar playing isn't as strong as it needs to be.
Well, that's
But yeah, I'm with the guitarist. I'm with the guitarist. Like, yeah, go with your 2 tracks on each. Like, you want to mix it up
but
to on recordings.
it's
Like, you
not
want
even
some of it raw. You don't want everything heavy. You got to make a choice, right? This is it. This is it in a nutshell. You got to make a choice. If you're going to make it sound big and big and big, or you're going to go raw. Don't try and do both.
well, yeah, I agree with that.
Don't go in the middle.
But
Do one or the other.
but there's also a, you know,
Fuck's wrong with you, Brett?
well, there's see, but I've always been one to take the approach just because you can doesn't mean you should. I mean, you can
No,
overdub
just
in
let the
drums,
guitarist.
but you
Just,
shouldn't. You know,
just
if you're recording
Brett,
drums,
get in the studio, record as many tracks as you can, and let the guitarist do his magic.
but the thing
And
is,
just treat it for what it is. It's about making a record's different to being live. Don't confuse the two.
But let me,
And definitely,
Paul,
and when you
Paul,
translate it,
hold
it's going to
on,
be.
because
Oh,
you're a
man.
runaway train right now. Let me put it like this: the person I'm talking about is known for making songs and putting in so many tracks that it ultimately ends up sounding like 2 different songs playing at once. So
I do that.
You don't want that happening with your band.
Yeah, you need someone there to like
And
cut
that's
it back.
that's what needs to be reeled back in. Just because you
Yeah.
can doesn't
Yeah,
mean
yeah,
you
you need
should.
to reel them back. Yeah, you might need
So
to
I
reel
mean
back.
that's where the
I need reeling back. No, I can relate to that.
that's
Yeah,
that's
so I
where
go
the
crazy
real
when I record.
problem is.
Yeah,
Where
and
it's
it just
like,
becomes a mesh of sound.
yeah,
Just
and
becomes a
that's
giant
what it is. Where it's like, you know, like you said, you can either go big or do it raw.
But no,
But there's
yeah, but maybe get someone else to. Yeah, maybe his talent is recording it, but maybe not mixing it.
what's going on here though is just doing things in a way that is just unnecessarily complicated. Like just and then making it so that the recording, you know, they started recording this thing last year. It's only 4 songs. Nothing is done or out because there is just
No, that's bad.
constant,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, that's bad.
yeah, and it's
Because when you're recording, you're there to record. Like a song should be done in maximum 4 days, and
yeah,
then you might leave it for a while and mix it at a later date,
yeah, but instead
just to get it out your head.
it's just this unbearable want to do things in the hardest way possible where it's not
The
needed.
longest bit is getting the 4 songs to mix together.
Yeah,
The recording bit's usually the quickest bit.
yeah, well this isn't. And the other thing too though is like, you know, when these people are playing live, again, you can be thrashing around and have a lot of energy, and you know, you can look past minor mistakes when that's going on. But I think the other
No, you can't.
I think the other well, I think the other part of it is when these people are sitting down playing their parts and then listening back to it, they're realizing that maybe these parts aren't as good on a record as they think they are because, you know, again, live there's another component to it And just listening back to it, it's like, okay, you're not playing this as great as you think you have been. Like, so I think that's part of it too, where they're just not happy with their own performances. And it's like, oh, you don't notice that when you're flailing around live on stage, like that this isn't that great musical composition wise. So I mean, there's all of that.
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous. Like, I'd love to be in a band at the moment. I'd fucking love it.
But I think, you know, if you're in a band, you should, you know, not that people in the band can't record and produce the record, but, you know, you have to, sometimes it's good to have someone else in the room.
Yeah, you can't do it by yourself. Yeah, I'd be a mash. Like the trick is you want that guy, just because when you record, everything's going to be DI these days. So as long as he's getting a good DI signal and he's capturing good performances, everything else is going to be plug-ins. Like all the guitars, I would just DI. I know everyone goes, it's like, yeah, well, we're going digital. If we're going digital, we're going digital.
See, but
so I can DI in it.
That he wants to mic his amp instead, and it's
You're
funny
fucking
though.
tough.
It's funny because
like you can do both. Like
well,
that's
exactly.
the trick. I'll do
you can
both
do
at the
both,
same time.
and it's very easy. Yeah, just split the line.
But yeah, you have to have a DI signal. You fucking man.
Yeah, I know.
And yes, if you're gonna do what Brett does, you have to record. That's going to be a long process because you should just go and that's what I'm saying. You either go, Brett's got it wrong, and every guitarist is talking about this now. You're either going to go his route and do it proper old school, or you do it digital. Not this middle road. He's talking middle road. And I get him.
He's not. If Brett had his way, they would record it all at once. All the instruments at once in isolated rooms and...
Yeah, you do both though, don't you? So you do that.
Because
maybe
here's
not
the other
isolated.
problem. Because their bassist, he's the one that owns the studio, and he went to me the one day, and he's like, they're talking about re-recording. And I said, listen, I said, I'm sorry, but this is on me. And he's like, well, what happened? I said, your drummer plays fast and loose. I said, and it's good for live. You know, he's in jam bands and cover bands, so he's very good at just picking things up, keeping time, not losing the beat, but it's fast and loose. I said, your guitarist, though, is trying to overdub all of his stuff on top of this fast and loose drumming, and he plays fast and loose too. I said, therefore, they're both so all over the place that it doesn't even matter if you're on point, because they're both going in two different directions, and it just sounds like a mess.
The best way to do it is to do it as a band. You don't need to be isolated. The only thing that has to be isolated, is the drums.
Yeah.
That has to be isolated. And then you do both. So yeah, Brett's kind of right. Like I would mic it up, have that going through, but ideally you want it DI as well.
Yeah.
And most of the guitar tracks at that point are going to be guides.
Yeah.
They're going to be your guide guitars, and you're going to overdub pretty much. And yes, you do. And yes, you want to do the play it 20 times in a row and capture the last 3 performances.
Yeah, but you don't want 4 different riffs all going at once, especially when live there's just one of you there. I'm all for layering.
You do when you get better. Yeah, that's because Brett's shit. Like, it's hard.
Brett's singing.
It's
Brett's
hard.
the singer. Brett doesn't even...
No, you're underestimating. I think it's dude, it's hard to record 4 solid
Let
guitar
me ask you
tracks
though,
because
if you had a band...
It is hard. I can't do it.
But if you had a band...
I'm not saying great, it's
you,
fucking hard.
You had a guitar player who, like I said, is again kind of...
Has to be... But yeah, what your guitarist is trying to... Yeah, Brett might be right, because to do what your guitarist is thinking, you have to be super tight.
Yes, and that's the point I was going to make.
Super,
again,
like every note has to be...
Keep in mind, fast and loose. So now you're... like
Because it's
I'm
high production.
I'm talking about fast and loose, and you can't even get the one guitar track to match up with your drums. Now you want to
do 4?
That's
what I'm saying. You've got to pick one or the other. High production means a perfect performance.
Yeah.
Note for note, like every single hit. And then you'll find, like, most of these rock tracks, they cut the snare out. That snare is a MIDI snare every time. The snare is such a punchy thing. Like, listen to Rage Against the Machines and then listen to Deftones. Listen to anything by that producer. The snare is exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's because it's a MIDI hit. So a lot of the drums are going to get replaced with MIDI. I hate to break it to the drummer, but that's... A lot of people can't handle that. Why do you think the drums are so clear on these albums? They're so, like, in your face.
Well, they probably are hooked up to
Inconsistent.
triggers and just
Yeah.
layer it all in.
Yeah,
One of the
and that's
coolest
why,
things
because
I've
otherwise
seen-
that snare is so loud that if you had any spill on that mic, imagine how that would come through.
Yeah, one of the cool things I've seen that their drummer's done, because I recorded an album and he did the sessions for me. It's actually their bassist though who owns the studio and did the drums for my project. But he had a amp that was broke, but the speaker still worked, and he hooked up this 12-inch speaker to basically be a microphone on his kick drum, so it just records sub frequencies. So when he does a kick, he's getting his actual kick, but then he's getting like this sub layer of like whoomp, whoomp. Like it adds this really nice thump to things. So I mean, there's like little tricks you can do like that. I've seen drummers where they have a little box.
So
in
by the
front
sounds
that are
of it,
supposed
what
to do
Brett
that.
needs to do is just mic the place up well. Fuck this isolation crap. That's not going to be important anymore. And just record it raw and just get the best performance you can.
That's what he's wanted to do from day one. But
And don't worry about the production of it. You just mix as long as you can mix it afterwards and just boost what you can. Like it's either raw or it's going to be super produced. You can't do that middle job.
yeah.
So that's when it sounds. And I think that's where Brett's like.
I mean, the one thing the guitarist was saying that he wanted to do was overdubbing drums. And I mean, to me, that just sounds like a headache from the mixing
You
perspective.
know, you need.
Because it's like
No,
you
need
can't,
a-
you can't clean out
No, because
cymbal ringing.
everyone's got to follow the fucking drum.
And the idea of cymbal ringings and stuff
The drummer
like
is
that.
the leader of the band.
Yeah.
I know it sounds corny, but
No,
the
but it's
drum
true.
track is like
That's
you definitely can't. Oh, you can't even take. The only thing you can get away with on drum tracks is where the song naturally stops. Then you could maybe get away with enough, and even that's risky. Needs to be one take, perfect.
Yep.
And maybe your drummer needs to practice more. A
Yeah.
lot of it, like the harsh reality, is that like someone in
Yeah,
the band
it's
isn't
practice.
practicing enough.
Yeah, that's you're completely
Especially
right with
because
that.
I was lucky when I had my drummer. He never played drums before, but he picked up good. When we recorded in his studio, he was like, "That's one of the most consistent drummers I've ever seen." Like, you didn't need compression on it really, or anything. Like, he was just consistent. Like, you need someone that's got music. Like, drumming is a lot of drummers are just drummers. Like, it is quite musical, actually.
Yeah.
It's fucking hard. I can't drum. I wouldn't be able to fucking do it.
I
Let
can
alone do it
very
consistently.
basic stuff. I'm not great with fills, but I can keep
Yeah,
it
so you
beat.
need to like fucking beat the drummer up and go, because it's well worth it. He'll thank you in the end for it. But you need to be brutal with drummers, because if that, yeah, because
Yeah, and they need to just stop thinking that they can do it both ways and that there's a mid ground. Like you said, either
No,
gotta
it's
go
not.
big or do it raw. And I mean,
my
again,
favorite
this is just
albums
for
are
a
either
demo,
my
too.
favorite albums are either super produced or like Appetite for Destruction's a great album, not super produced. It's got mistakes in it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
that's the other thing is you gotta be raw. Like if it's gotta be that one performance.
I thought it was funny when I was there to help engineer the one session with the guitarist, and this was when I was like, you guys just need to scrap this and redo it because you're both too fast and loose with everything. But he was like, go over to my amp and tweak the sounds. What would you have it be? And it was really funny that like, when I was tweaking his distortion sounds, like I almost set it to like a very modern, compressed, tight distortion type sound, and he likes this sound where it's just sort of, I don't even know, like again, loose is like the only where it's like just ringing out and noisy and kind of
What sort of
thrashy and like,
genre are they?
huh?
What sort of genre are they doing?
I guess you could put it in the category of like kind of Deftones at the drive-in,
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah,
kind of like heavy, fast, almost punk.
you need the trick to that is you have to. It sounds so obvious, but no one told me this. You need a noise gate.
Yeah.
You have got a noise gate. Like that is so important.
Yeah, and because the one thing is like when I see them live, even there's like one part where it's like kind of like a
I
breakdown.
don't
but
think
there's-
you want a compressor on that. Get rid of that
There's
straight away.
like
That's
this.
the last thing you want on that, dude. You want a noise gate, not a compressor's the last thing you want because you want the rawness of it. You want it to sound shit.
The other
You don't
problem
want it
is
to
though
sound.
is
You
like
want the little noises to sound little and the big noise to sound big. You don't want a consistent
yeah,
meh.
but you know
So
parts where
definitely
it's
throw the
like
compressor out.
you're not palm muting, but you're laying your hand flat on it and doing like a chicka 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 chicka,
Yeah,
like those
get the
parts.
compressor off that.
Well, no, but the problem is even during those parts, all you're hearing is the pick scraping, like where it's just like high end noise rather than
Yeah.
that sound that you actually want. Like there's something in this distortion where it's
Well,
just
you've got
not.
something called a volume. You need to, like, if you watch me play, I use the volume. I change my volume on my guitar for 20 times it's on.
Hmm.
It's what the volume's like. What you need to do, how I would do it, is most of Brett's control has to be from his finger on his guitar
Well,
volume. He's
Brett's
got to
singing.
learn
Brett's
the
not even
dial.
playing guitar. He's
Well,
singing.
however the guitarist is, watch them when they play. Look how much he's using his volume switch. If it's not using it at least 20 times on, that's your problem. So to clean your guitar up, you use the volume.
Yeah.
Because you don't lose volume, it just cleans it up. To a point you lose volume, and then so most of the gig, like when you're clean, you want it on like number 2, number 3. Like that's what I'm talking about. So it's dirty but clean, because you'll never get it clean by the sounds of this band. I obviously don't want that. So dirty clean's for number 3. Number 6 is where you're normally gonna be, and that's pretty rough, pretty heavy. And then if you go to 8, you're like, that's gonna be your lead stuff. And now and then I'll hit 10 if it's like just once, like maybe once or twice in the whole show where you go to 10. So your signal you want as clean as possible for this. So you want to go into your amp, and you want your amp actually quite clean. I'd put the distortion on about 6. Put everything on 6 o'clock. It's a good bet. 1 o'clock. Put everything on 1 o'clock. That's a good starting point. Normally you can leave it at that. And then you want a tube, like an old-fashioned tube screamer.
Yeah.
And you take the distortion all the way down on that and boost the level. So you use the tube screamer as a boost. And it's sounding by this band, the boost is going to be on for the whole show. And that's going to give you more volume. Like you might want to take it off just when you clean up, when you use the volume. But yeah, check your guitarist and just monitor his volume usage. And if it's not using it, you might want to ask him why not. Like that's where, because if you're complaining about pick scrapes, well, why the fuck are you on volume 10, you bell end?
I mean,
and that's taken me years. Like I'm not just saying that, it's taken me years to really understand the volume switch on the guitar and how important it is.
When I was talking about distortion, and I used the word compressed, and I didn't really mean like as far as like
because you use a compressor on guitar all the time. Like when you go clean and you want it to sound really clean, then you'd use a compressor. Or if someone's singing and playing at the same time, it's hard to keep it level.
But what I meant when I was saying that is, again, not as much a compression pedal, but like, the distortion you hear on like Deftones, for example, like the distortion sound their guitarist is using is very akin to the Deftones' first album, Adrenaline, where it's like, I like the distortion sound more on the newer stuff, like White Pony.
Yeah, there's not much distortion on. You'll be surprised how little distortion they use. The ear's very misleading.
Yeah, and it's a
lot. On Adrenaline, there's not much distortion on that. I reckon he's got his Marshall. That sounds like a Marshall. I reckon he's got it on, like I'm saying, 1 o'clock, and then he's just got a tube screamer in front of it, and a lot of it's on his volume. He's not pushing that volume much past 7 on his guitar.
Yeah. I just like
But then again, you might be right. On Adrenaline, they might use Yeah, that is... No, you're right. They probably do have a compressor pedal on Adrenaline. Well, yeah, you're right. No, you're right. But then you listen to Around the Fur, that kind of drop D stuff is where you take it off, and it's heavy. Because each album, I think they drop the tuning, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they just, the tuning's just...
It gets lower and lower and lower.
Yeah.
So once you get lower, then you're in trouble. Because I played a gig, one of the first gigs we did at college, we were at drop B, trying to be like Sepultura, Oh man, it fucking sounded awful. We got booed off stage, man. We actually got booed off stage. And then what made it, oh fucking hell, what made it worse, right? It was this girl called Amy. She was a sweet girl. I like Amy. And it was for college. So for her project, she was doing like a charity concert, right?
Hmm.
And it was for BANDCAMP or something. And that's for like mentally disabled people.
Hmm.
So we didn't really think about that. And we called our band Psycho Bill, right?
Oh, that's funny.
So when they grabbed the mic, I went, the next band, Psycho Bill! Everyone just went,
Uh-huh.
boo!
That's funny.
I was like, that's such a bad start. And then we just came and gone, and it just sounded fucking awful. What are they tuned to, do you know?
I think I want to say.
I think I saw them, and they're about drop C sharp, aren't they?
I think everything is, all the strings are down a whole step, and then the top one is down a drop from there.
What?
Yeah.
That's you know. Oh, you know what else they need for that? If you're going that low, you can't really use the guitar because the neck's not going to be long enough.
Yeah, so I think it's like
You need a baritone guitar.
I want to say it's actually no, they're in some sort of weird. Maybe everything's down a half step and the top string is down.
Yeah, that's
the
that's
whole.
what around the fur is.
Yeah. Um.
Yeah, that's not too low.
Yeah.
It's quite
Everything.
low.
All the strings are down the half step, and then the top string is down
That's still
like one and
heavy.
a half. Yeah.
But
So
yeah, that's about as low as you can get away with until it gets crazy.
yeah. Or you need to just get a 7 string or something like that.
Yeah, well, you're gonna need heavy strings to drop that low. 11s, I'd put
Yeah.
on that, or maybe 12. I'd go really heavy on the bass, and then not so heavy on the bottom three, like high three.
I mean, I don't know. I think you can play plenty of heavy stuff in drop D, and I don't know. Sometimes
Yeah, but that's gonna be on your volume, dude.
I think
Like
you,
when you're doing a palm muting, if it's doing it on 7, that's just gonna sound meshy.
yeah.
You've
Well,
got
it's
to go
like,
down to a volume 3
I
or
think you can write
2.
heavy riffs. Like, the key to heaviness isn't down tuning, and a lot of people seem to think it is.
His guitar amp has got to be cranked, and the reason it's cranked is so when it's on 3, it's loud. And
Yeah.
that's why you got to dial back the distortion a lot, because you got to think when you're cranking that amp, man. That's the thing. The sound comes from cranking the amp, because the amp is half the instrument.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want a clean as signal as possible. So you go into the amp, fairly clean amp, like you want it dirty, not distorted, dirty. So when you roll back, it's clean. Then you've got your tube screamer with no distortion on it, but as a boost.
Hmm.
And then you might want to experiment with an actual distortion pedal in front of it. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, the actual amp itself has to be dirty, and then if you want more power, that goes in front of the amp.
Yeah.
And then he obviously uses a wah-wah, doesn't he?
Yep.
I guess. So that's first in the queue.
Well, and that's the other thing, too, I've noticed, where it's like, if you don't have the amp set right and you're using a wah, that thing will just make feedback
The wah
noises.
is always first in the queue. And it doesn't go in the effects loop, it's always first. Certain effects have to go in the effects loop.
Yeah.
Like you put your delay into the effects loop.
Yeah, that's the other order of pedals definitely matters. You know, we've devolved into
Yes.
music talk. I might as well chop this thing in half and put the second half of this on my music channel. Jamie and Paul talk recording.
I was going to do that. I was going to show you how I set up a guitar and stuff. Because I just think the way forward now is digital. I think digital's so amazing.
Yeah.
That,
Well, and especially when you
like,
have things like I just downloaded Line 6's Helix, which is a plug-in and a whole virtual amp thing, but it can connect to the hardware, so you can build your presets into your banks
yeah,
digitally,
that's what everyone's starting to use. I was going to say Helix, yeah.
and then
Incredible.
export it into the
And it's
hardware.
consistent.
Yeah,
So you can just go into the PA and like it's with all this carbon, you can laugh at it, but imagine being a famous guitarist. This is a big deal now. Like you can't travel with a fucking 12 vintage amps.
yeah,
Come on. Come on. And then they blow in tubes every 5 minutes and you need techs. They're not consistent. And then you've got to rely on the electricity of the venue. Because all electricity is different compared to where you go.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing for your band. Like, do you know how important power supply is?
Oh yeah.
Like, I didn't know that.
You can. I mean, I took me
You
a
got
while
to bring
to
your
figure
own
that
power
out.
supply.
Because, you know, if you have something
Yeah,
that's
I
not
don't mean like
grounded,
the venue. Yeah, you got to go through like some kind of venue box. So because electric's going to be different in every venue. And if it's different, you're going to get loads of background noise.
yeah, I've worked with, I have a PA head where the ground wire broke on it, and it's like you have to finagle that thing right, otherwise you're just going to get a layer of feedback from the electricity not being sound. Like, and it's, yeah, electricity matters a lot with a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I did a death metal gig and my rig was totally useless because the background noise was just immense. And luckily, the lead guy had a spare rig. But yeah, I was going to rant about Brexit, if anything, man. But maybe we'll save that for another day.
Yeah, we can save that for next week. We're almost at
Yeah, and
2
France
hours.
is on fucking fire.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier on when I was talking about things we might get into talking. But I don't know the details of that, but I've heard the nationalists and Antifa are united against the powers that be in France.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just got out of control. I don't think there is an agenda behind it anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's just spiraled into fucking chaos. The police have stood down now, apparently, in the last hour.
Oh, really?
They're like, fuck this. Yeah, the police are on the side of the rioters now. They're like, fuck this shit.
Yeah, can't blame them in some of these cases. You know, it's like, how much is
Get
your
me a
life
guest
worth
spot
to
on
you?
this album.
I
Send
can
me a
try.
track where I can get me a guest spot. Tell Brett I'll never talk to him again while I'm not on the 4-track.
I'll let him know. He might just try to
Never
replace
talk to him
you.
again.
Or replace the other guitarist, and they'll just...
No, don't do that. I can help why don't I help the guitarist out?
I can try
So I
to
love
arrange
guitar.
that.
I could be his guitar mentor. Because I'm a big guitar geek. I love it. And I'm better at teaching than what I am playing.
Yeah.
I've had some successes in teaching.
Well, I think part of the problem is, you know, it's like with Brett and me, we know that music, we have the Owen Benjamin outlook where music is craftsmanship. Again, you can practice and this and that. When you have other musicians, though, who think music is an expression of yourself and, you know, it's what you put out, it's reflective of you. Therefore, craftsmanship and everything else is secondary. It's hard to be in a band where two people have completely different outlooks on what they're doing and what the purpose of it is and everything like that. And that's the problem. It's like when you have people who are like, this music is...
It's really hard to find musicians that just gel, and when they do, but it's really rare.
Yeah.
Most bands I've been that we've not gelled at all. Like the only person I've gelled with is people that I grew up with playing. And when you do, it's very special. It really is special because I know what he's going to do before he does it. He knows what I'm going to do. He knows what I'm capable of. He knows most of my riffs. So when you can predict what the other guy's going to do and you can cue each other and you get it right 90% of the time. And my friend, he's really good now. Like he's taken it really seriously. Like ever since he had a kid, things changed for him. He's in like 3 or 4 bands now, and he was always a great player. But now he's playing like every single night. He's just immense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really funny because whenever we play together, everyone's like, "Who's the best, you or Paul?" And it's like he'll always say like, "I'm the best," and I'm like, "No fucking chance. Can I keep up with Paul?"
That's the one you were talking about a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah, we went to see Joe Bonamassa together, man. That
Yeah.
was amazing. Yeah, he's so cute. The thing is, Paul's fucking clean as fuck. I'm not a very clean player. I'm kind of rough. I like to play rough. He doesn't play rough at all. You never see him slamming it hard or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's very controlled, is Paul.
Well,
But at the same time, you never see him like put anything weird out.
mm-hmm.
It's very, I don't know, it's very English, how I describe it. It's a very British blues player. And he likes folk music because he's really good with his fingers. Yeah, man.
All right, I think we should wrap things up for this
I think we should record an album, dude.
Could.
An experimental album.
I honestly, I wish I had more time to work on music lately. This month, like I was saying, first off, with all the working stuff, it's been
Well, I
driving
can't.
me
I got
crazy.
hit with a computer fire, so I had to delete everything.
Oh, really? That sucks.
Yeah, I've got no memory apparently. You know,
You
hard
think
drive memory,
there's
not
like,
RAM.
yeah,
No hard drive memory. And I've deleted fucking everything. I haven't got anything on that computer.
that's weird.
What's causing it, Jamie?
I don't know.
I've even clicked on every single folder to see if anything's over a gig. That's how desperate I am.
Yeah.
I've got 5 gigs spare. And that took hours to... I was down to like my last 300 megabytes.
I don't know, mate. You might just want to save what you need and reformat it and start from scratch. Sometimes I find that's easier than trying to figure out the problem and just isolate it.
Well, yeah, but will that free up my hard drive space?
Yeah.
Then? It will.
Because all you'll be left with is the operating system.
What I do, just put the disc in.
Most of the time, yeah.
I don't know how to do it.
Or
So I
if
put the
it's
disc in and
Windows,
didn't do anything.
If it's Windows, what you can do some of the time is they have a thing where you can download the operating system to a USB stick, and it will boot it off of that instead of a disk. But essentially the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So annoying.
Yeah. But
So I could just throw it out a window. Could just.
Yeah, that too.
Just get another one. That's why I reckon it's done on purpose, just so I buy another one.
Probably.
It can't be
A lot
fucked.
of technology is like that nowadays.
Find me a band, Jamie.
It might be hard, but being overseas.
Hook me up the
and doing
guitarist.
that-
I'll give him a one to. I'll have a look. Send me his stuff. I'll have or a live video.
That I can do. I can definitely do that. I talk to him all the time, so. But all right.
And I'm nicer than what I sound. I'll probably slag it off, but I have good intentions.
Yeah.
It'll sound amazing if you just rip it apart.
Well, let me get going so I can try to get some
Right.
stuff done.
And the
around
other thing is,
before
I
go
can
to work
even
tonight.
create his guitar tones for him, can't I?
Yeah, well, I mean
That's the tube.
that's one of the things too, and I think that's where a lot of it, you know, if someone just clean up his tone with him, where it
Yeah, because I
makes
used to
big
do that. When you listen to heavy rock, like you said, with an album, if it's a heavy band, they probably got 4-track guitars on each side, and all the guitar, those are separate recordings. That's how tight the guitarist is.
and you just
And then
gotta
they'll
layer
use
it
different
good.
amp settings. Yeah, and then they've got completely different amp settings. Like one will have a fuzz distortion, one will be quite clean, one will have a lot of mid, one will have no mid.
Yeah, and I'm not against that, but I'm against, you know, a 4-piece band with one guitarist on a record having 4 different guitar parts playing at once, because it's like, again, unless you have a looper and you're really good with it, how
Yeah,
are you
if
gonna
you
do
do that, then you've got 2 main riffs, and the other things are just subtle. I do that, but the other tracks are just literally atmospheric.
Yeah,
Like have a lot of like you do want, like I would probably have by sounds of it, I would have probably 8 tracks for the guitar. But I don't think like you want a lot of atmospheric to link them together too. If you get me, like just you getting a distortion in key and just having that as a track. Like you'll be surprised how quiet a track can be where you can't even you would swear it's not even in the track. I bet if you pulled apart a Deftones, especially when you listen to the Nirvana Nevermind album, there's loads of guitar parts which I swear are not in there. But you listen to the original tracks, they are in there.
oh yeah.
But they're just so
I
quiet.
remember
And I
even
think
watching.
maybe you pick up on it, so it just has that.
I remember even
Yeah.
watching a behind the music thing where Butch Vig, who produced the album, said that
That's what I was thinking, yeah, as well, yeah.
Kurt was very against overdubbing, and Butch Vig would just tell him John Lennon did
Yeah,
it.
yeah, just don't
John
tell him
Lennon
about
did
it.
Like, yeah.
Don't even tell him you
That's
do
the
it.
other thing. Some of the
Yeah.
times he wouldn't. He would just do it and then mix it in afterwards. He'd
Just
be
say you
like,
fucked it up. Yeah, just say
yeah.
something
He'd be
on the
like, oh,
track.
that take was garbage. Do it again. Do it again.
again.
Do it again. Like, yeah.
No, that's what I do, because you want as many tracks as possible. Yeah. And then just overlay them. But Butch is good at it. Like, he's got a great ear for it, and he knows guitar tone.
Yeah.
I'll have to research how Deftones. I would have thought around the fur. I reckon there's about 8 guitar tracks on there, at least maybe 12. And you don't have to be tight for that either. So if it's meshy, it's doing something massively wrong.
Yeah. But All right, well let's
Yeah,
catch
he
up
can send me the
next
tracks.
week.
I'll mix it for you.
Wait, I could talk to like I said, their bassist. It's everything's in his studio. I mean, last I heard, they wanted me
Yeah,
to do
that's
the
the thing. This
mixing.
studio
So,
business, dude. You just need a computer. You fucking dimwit.
well, the thing is that
Fucking studio.
it's
What?
well, it's like their studio slash practice area and
Yeah, just do it
everything
in a
like
practice
that.
room. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Do it all in a practice room.
yeah. It's just the
Because if you're
computer in
doing
the
a
practice
studio
room.
business, it's just a waste of money. You just
Yeah,
need a practice room. And good mics. Even if you have to hire them.
I mean their bassist has everything there they need.
Yeah.
So. And
Yeah,
it's
dude.
just convenient where it's like he has everything all mic'd up. I mean, they could show up for they should realistically just be able to show up for practice and get it recorded and done and everything they need. But I don't know. It's just obnoxious with them. But
Yeah, dial back the amps, especially if you're tracking that many, because you'll be surprised how it builds up. You want one or two heavy ones in there.
yeah,
And then you turn them all the way down. Just so you get that background. Yeah, it's an art. I
yeah.
want to. Oh, dude, what have you done to me? I want to mix his album now. I'll fix it. Get rid of the snare drum. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Anyway, Brexit is going to be next.
All right, we'll talk about Brexit in
The great
France.
Brexit and Tommy Robinson. What his just doing exactly the same what I'm accusing Trump of.
Is
We'll get
he?
into that. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll be
it's a
interested to
dirty
hear about
rat.
that. But
Right.
all right, I'll talk to you later,
Catch you
man.
later.
All right,
Right.
take care.
Bye.